welcome to the shop. It's a lovely day. What I got going today, these are the original bars I spec'd when I bought the Yoeleo frame. This is part of the package when you buy a frame. And I deliberately bought a smaller bar with a shorter stem than I've ever used before. It was kind of an experiment. I want to see what effect it had. I knew what effect it would create. I mean, the shorter stem is going to make it a quicker steering front end. But I thought, well, maybe I need a shorter stem because I thought the reach on this frame from here to the shifter hoods was overall going to be about a centimeter and a half longer than on my existing frame, which has always been quite comfortable for me. So there was practical reason, but it's also kind of an experiment. I thought, okay, let me try this narrow bars. That did nothing for me. I'll tell you why. You know, I'm not going fast enough to realize any sort of supposed gain from having your arms tucked in 1 centimeter more, or 2 centimeters more in this case. But you can see the difference in these bars. There's the old bar. You can see it here. That's the amount of extra bar width I've got. And there's the amount of extra reach I've got with the new bars. Now, why'd I do this? I mean, I could have ridden around forever and it would have been fine, except going back to that point about quicker steering. The longer the bar stem, the greater is the steering arc. Okay? The shorter the stem, the lesser the arc to produce the same steering effect. So they call the bigger arc produced slower steering. Okay? It doesn't, the front end doesn't react quite as quickly. All right? What'd it do for this bike? Well, I'll tell you what it did. It induced speed wobbles at moderately fast speeds. Now, for 16 years, I lived in Aspen, Colorado, 7,800 foot elevation at town level. And my normal ride would be up a hill for 10 miles or more to anything from about 9,600 to 12,000 elevation. Those were the two major rides. You could go downhill, you could go down valley, and I did that some too. But my normal ride in town was that 10 mile from the front of my house up to the top of Maroon Bell's wilderness parking area. And it was a hell of a good ride. Quiet, beautiful, and lots of riders. And you'd see people on some kind of rig like rollerblades practicing speed skating, ski skating uphill and downhill. Anyway, it was a great ride. But the point of the digression is, at the very top of that hill, there's plenty of little steep ramps on the way down that. It's about 8 miles down that one road to get to the base of the road. But at the very top, within about 150 meters from setting off, you could be doing 50 miles per hour quite easily. You just pedal a few times and let gravity take hold, and man, you're going fast. I used to get a speed wobble in this old Trek carbon fiber frame I had, and it's a scary thing at that speed. Speed wobbles are no fun. Now, what's speed wobble? Most people have experienced a speed wobble at some point, but what it is a point, they call it the Hopf Bifurcation. You pass that point, I can't explain that to you, but somebody that knows about engineering, physics can do it. But you can look it up if you're interested. HOPF, bifurcation. Apparently, the frame will go into a kind of an uncontrollable oscillation. It'll just go back and forth wildly. And at high speeds, that's a scary thing. There's nothing you can do. The last thing you want to do is brake with the front wheel. You'll probably fall down. You just ease on the rear brake. Get your ass off the seat by about ½ an inch. Put your pedals at 9 and 3 o'clock. And just try to slow the thing down and get it off to the side of the road. You never know about speed wobble. But they're known to happen at high speeds downhill when you're not pedaling. Those are the classic conditions. Hell, I was getting a speed wobble on this bike with these short bars and short stem going uphill at 33 kph. That's about 20 miles an hour. Uphill, pedaling. I could be coasting along at any rate of speed and hit some uneven tarmac or sandbars that build up on the roads here. We're right by the coast. There's a lot of sand that washes across the roads, and it'll form these sandbars, and it could be going this way, it could be going this way. You hit a bunch of those and the front end just starts doing this, damn thing would go into a wobble. It's an oscillation. That's all it is. And the bike, the front wheel is actually trying to maintain stability, and that's why it's wobbling. It's doing its very best to maintain stability. It seems counterintuitive, but that's what's going on, so I've learned. Anyway, it was just obvious that my experiment with shorter stem and narrower bars wasn't going to work. So I went to my local shop and I just bought what he had. What he had is these Shimano Pro Vibe bars, and they're a damn fine bar, but they're bloody expensive. This bars was about $300 in Thailand. And I bought a 3T stem. It's an aluminum alloy stem, not carbon. And that wasn't cheap either. That was nearly $100. That's a crazy amount of money. You can buy cheap carbon shit on AliExpress that's been fully tested for $50. But I don't mind supporting my local shop. He's a small guy, small shop. And it is what it is. And I wanted to fix the problem, so I just got what he had. And I spent a couple hours rewiring this thing the other day and switching it around. I took the D-fly unit out of here and I put it over there. And I took the junction A out of here and I put it here where it should have been to begin with. And I was able, because this thing, you can flop it one way or the other, and if I turned it the other way, it's going to be a more neutral angle here. But in this configuration, it gives me a little bit of a rise. And I had 50 millimeter spacer in here, and I didn't like that, so I took 10 out, used that rise to compensate for that, and I put 5 mil on top of the stem. I'm buying a new compression plug and everything. Anyway, so that's what I had to do. And then I've given it 3 or 4 test rides. And each time I'd come back and I'd readjust the shifter position down a little bit, in or out. The bars I haven't really touched much. It's kind of like it's not exactly parallel to the ground. It's more like shooting at a point on the frame about here. But that's good for me. And I didn't want to wrap the bars until I was happy with the setup, so I'm pretty delighted. What happened, as soon as I put this stem and these bars on, I took it for a ride around my parking area before going out on the ride. It immediately felt like my other bike, which I've been riding forever and is very comfortable. I took it for a ride about 28, 29 kilometer, my typical little local route. And it just felt wonderful. I wasn't getting any speed wobble. Absolutely solid as a rock riding along now. So that fixed the problem. Anyway, today's project is put the tape back on. And that's what we're going to get started doing anyway. Thanks for checking in with me. I'm doing all right. I hope y'all are too. Good riding.